Welcome back to the pre-show, everyone. Happy
Hi.
Christmas and holidays. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, it was nice. How's yours?
It was good. Kind of sad. My dad wasn't feeling well,
Mm.
so we couldn't see him like at all on Christmas Eve because it was like a stomach thing and he didn't want to give it to us. He did get tested for COVID and was negative, so that was good. But yeah, and then my mom's back hurt on Christmas Day, so family's falling apart, but it was good.
End of the year is getting you.
It's just like, of course, 2020 Christmas, everyone's sick or in pain. Everybody can just do their best. Going to Disney World, probably not the answer right now, but to each their
Yeah.
own.
I can't imagine wanting to be there in a mask all day.
Did you see that TikTok of the woman that was like, if you're planning on going to Disney World, here's what to expect. You can't get your, like, no pictures without masks. Like, you have to wear your mask the entire time. He's like,
What do
yeah,
you expect?
shit, maybe don't go during a global pandemic, you dumb fuck. But I felt bad because she was trying to, like, just let people know because must have bought that like ticket package or that picture package where you
Uh,
like get your picture and but you had to wear your mask, so it's kind of a waste of money. So I think she
mhm.
was just trying to like let other families know, and like she was getting flamed in the comments. She was just like, I didn't mean to come off badly, I just wanted to let y'all know. It's like, we all
Poor
know,
lady.
we all know that Disney right now is probably not that fun,
No.
but whatever. Did you watch the Bachelorette finale?
I did. Cool. Like, honestly, I don't know what it was, but I got to the end of the season and I like the last two episodes, I just like didn't really even care to watch, honestly. Like I only half watched them because I was just kind of not invested anymore. I don't know. Good for them. I
Yeah.
hope they work it out. I don't think it's going to. Unless if she moves to New York or he moves to LA, but he like has a business in New York.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
like that's
she
up to
is in New
her.
York right now.
Yeah, I saw they were out there visiting. So if I was her, I'd be hopping on a plane so quick to New York and moving there. I would love to live in New York.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They
We'll see.
said
I
too at the
hope.
end, they were like, to New York. So I think that's their plan, is to be in New York.
I
You can
hope.
be
I
an
hope it works
influencer
out.
anywhere.
Yeah, you can. So
So I don't know. I think it's gonna go one of two ways. I think they're either gonna be like together forever and really cute and have really cute children, or she's gonna have a restraining order against him this time next year. I
like
think
Cassie and
there's
Colton.
no dead ass because I feel like he is very sweet and kind, but he's got a little crazy in him.
That's
You
kind
can
of
see it
like
in the eyes.
that's a little bit of excitement. Yeah, I agree though. Yeah, I hope it works out. Like I genuinely do. I'm sick of everyone coming off of that show and like breaking up within the first year.
Yeah.
So,
I just saw something
yeah.
on Good Morning America. A couple from Paradise just got divorced.
Yeah, Carly and Evan. I saw
Yeah.
that, which they were gross. So, or
Yeah.
not they were, he grossed me out.
Yeah. He's a little yucky.
Um And I'm not excited for the new Bachelor season. First off, it's just way too close in time. Like I need a break from it, and
Yeah.
they're not giving me one. And so I'm not really liking that. And also I don't care about this new guy. Like I get that they think he's going to be a good pick and who knows, hopefully he is. But like the whole point of like the previous season is to get to know the new bachelor or bachelorette. And like
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is. So like why do I care if he finds love or not?
Yeah. It feels like another Ari situation. Like,
At
where,
least people knew Ari though.
yeah.
No one knows this guy.
Yeah. I would love to see Ben be the Bachelor or Ivan or like any of the guys, honestly, from this past season besides like
Yeah.
Bennett. But
Ew.
um yeah, I as soon as Bennett or Brendan and Ben made that little switcheroo, I saw everything else coming.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is...
When Ivan was like, she's gonna ask me, or I'm gonna ask her to marry me and she's gonna say yes, and then immediately got sent home, I was like, yikes. But that's how it always happens. The guy that's like super confident goes in and gets fucking dumped.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing that happened with Kelly too.
Yeah.
She was like, she's going home, Victoria F. Fuck her. Nope. Kelly.
The producers have other plans, honey.
God.
Yeah, I don't know. I need a bit of a break from it, and I'm not gonna get that.
That's so funny because I just said to Jack today, I was like, it sucks that there's no Bachelorette tonight.
We are opposites. Or, well, no, normally I'd be like pumped up, but I think I need a moment. I'm just not really like invested in any sort of content right now. And I think that's too kind of why I'm just in like kind of a blah thing. Cause like I'm just not really like excited to get into anything right now.
Yeah.
Or like get back to watching anything that, I don't know. Maybe rewatching Game of Thrones is gonna like do it for me.
Yeah, hopefully. It'll be interesting to see it as like a full season and like talk about it from that like point of view. Yeah.
Especially because I watched it so fast the first time I did. And you did too. You watched it pretty quick too.
Yeah.
And to like slow down a bit. Yeah, it's gonna be nice. First off, do you like my shirt? Do you see it?
Rest in peace.
It's not dead yet. My parents got it for me for Christmas.
That's so cute. I love that actually.
Yeah, it's like very vintagey looking, just like the store.
Oh my God. I'm so dumb. I should have gone there when I was home and like just rented something. Okay, should we start?
Yeah, I don't have anything else. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and...
Oh, bitch, the fucking metronome is on.
Oh, no.
Buckle up.
Because it's going to be a long ride.
It's going to be a wild ride.
No one cares, but we're going to tell you anyways.
This is Popcorn Chats. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Popcorn Chats. I'm Katie.
And I'm MICHAE.
And this week we're talking about another new movie, Wonder Woman 1984, the second Wonder Woman film. Just came out on HBO Max, starring Gal Gadot, directed by Patty Jenkins. And we're about to get going here. So, how are you?
I thought I was going to hiccup. I didn't. I'm fine. I'm sad that Christmas is over. We like undecorated our whole house already because we have my brother's dog who is like a terror and he's at our house. So we were certain that he was going to break something or like throw a toy into the Christmas tree. So we already undecorated, which is a little bit of a bummer. It's just kind of like sad to have that all packed up. But honestly, it's fine. I'm kind of just in like a neutral mood. I'm taking the week off of work actually, which I should say is fun. And I'm looking forward to a whole week of chilling. How about you?
Nice. I'm fine. I think I'm feeling that weird like post-Christmas too. And it's just like a weird time. I think I'm so used to like coming home from working really hard at school and like coming home for a much needed break and then like going back to normal everyday routine, but it just feels like doing the same thing. It's literally just the same day over and over again, and I'm so sick of it. But then it's like, oh, it's Christmas, you know? So I don't know, it just felt weird, and I'm just kind of like waiting to get back to normal life still, but obviously we're not going back to that. Like 2021 isn't gonna happen, and then the virus is gonna go away, obviously. So it's just kind of depressing. And of course, like everybody on TV, everybody everywhere is just like, goodbye 2020. And it's like, what do you mean by that? Like, what is your plan?
They think that as soon as that clock runs down, everything gone, everything forgotten, everything's perfect.
No.
What planet are you on?
A friend of mine tweeted the other day. She was like, I'm convinced that we're all living through different pandemics. And that is the truest thing I've read in a while. Just for the love of God, people.
Katie and I have lived through the same pandemic, I think. But
Essentially, yeah. Oh, help. Anyways, that's just enough catch up, I think, for me.
yeah, let's just jump in.
Yeah.
Let's just dive right in. Katie, do you have a standout star? Or should we start with that? Or should like real briefly? Kate, actually, I just want a one-word answer. First movie or second movie?
First.
First. Okay. We'll get into that later, but I just wanted to know
Okay.
right off the bat because I was just curious, like your thought right there. Okay. Do we need to do standout star?
I didn't put it down.
Okay, I didn't either. Because it's Diana.
Her. Yeah, it's her.
Great. Glad we can agree. We are breezing through here, people.
Yeah.
Standout scene? Do you have a standout scene?
I have a couple. Why don't you go first?
The first one is going to be the opening scene with those games and mascara.
Okay.
That was just fun. I don't really
Yeah.
think it necessarily like did much for the rest of the movie, but I don't care, honestly. It was just fun. I love seeing that island again. I think it's so beautiful. All those women, not a dick in sight. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Just women doing awesome stuff and being badasses, like all on their own.
Yeah.
We love to see it. So yeah, I loved that opening scene. And then the road action sequence, like that's about halfway through the film when I forget what country they're in, but when they're like chasing down Pedro Pascal's character, it just felt very Fast and Furious-esque to me. They have a few different scenes just like that in the Fast and Furious franchise. And if you don't know, Gal Gadot was in the Fast and Furious franchise before she was Wonder Woman. And it gave me all the nostalgia of her being in that franchise. And I really liked her character in there and was really sad when she was killed off. I liked that sequence, but I also just liked it because it gave me Fast and Furious vibes.
I really liked kind of the film's climax when everything was going to shit. The missiles were all setting off and Alistair is running around and like it's literally the apocalypse, end of the world. The thing that everybody was so afraid of back in the 80s, like literally both Russia and America being like, all right, fuck it, we're launching the missiles. I thought it was very well done to have us walk through. There's a couple moments actually where Diana and Steve are walking through the chaos together, and then after she like parts with him, then it's like her by herself. And I just like seeing the different ways that people are reacting to this situation. I don't know, I thought it was a really well done like one shot through all of that. Max, the kind of villain character, he genuinely did a very good performance when he's like running towards his son at the end. These are all kind of like not the same moment, but like tied to the same thing.
Yeah, I love Pedro Pascal at the end there. I really like him in general. I love to see him in this. I thought he did a good job.
He gave a really strong performance, especially in that moment. Like I shed a tear because it was good.
Cute.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that actually I should have brought this up beforehand, but when you said that it's out on HBO Max, I think it should just be noted that, so obviously because of this year, this movie was supposed to come out long time ago. Like it was supposed to be back in the spring, I think was its original release or something, or like it was going to be a summer blockbuster. Obviously it's gotten pushed back a lot, but it was the most successful theater opening since the pandemic because some theaters were open and showing it. So snaps and claps to Wonder Woman for that, for at least bringing like some kind of audience back to the theater.
Yeah.
And also now it's been announced that they're going to do a third one, even though they're like, with great turnout, the third one's going to happen. But then like later on in the article, it's like, it's always been planned to be a trilogy. And I'm like, yeah, you're not fooling anyone here. We all knew that you were going to make a third. Patty Jenkins is going to return to direct the third one as well.
I think it's cool when a director sticks with something throughout the entire franchise, and it's also rare too, you know, like Harry Potter, Hunger Games all had different directors, so that's kind of comforting to me, I guess, because although I do like seeing different people's interpretation of the same story and world, it is kind of comforting then to know like what to expect and you're keeping the same look and the same vibe. And the moment that you were talking about at the beginning of the film, I liked that we were able to return there even though it's been so long since Diana has been there and like hasn't been able to return to there obviously since she left in 1918 or whatever. And I thought it kind of tied in like with the truth being the only thing. It showed us her upbringing and how like with her great powers comes this great responsibility that she had to learn. Like, she didn't always know that. And then so when Kristen Wiig's character, which we can get into later, but when she gets granted that power, she doesn't handle it in the same way because she didn't have the same like upbringing as Diana.
So, like I said before, my audio so rudely interrupted me. I don't know if it necessarily met my expectations. I think it almost changed my expectations in a way. I just had such high expectations after the first movie. I think the first movie is like pretty close to perfect for me. It kind of like hits everything that I wanted to hit. And this one, I think it's just so different from the first that, I don't know, it took me a few days to kind of like digest and get used to and like understand. And sitting on it more, I like it more. If we would have recorded immediately after watching it, I think my view on it would have been a lot different than it is now, after being able to kind of like take some time and reflect.
I definitely enjoyed the first, or just liked the first one better, and I agree with you that they are very different. I think part of that has to do with like the different time periods that they both take place in. I felt like this one was a lot more superhero-y, if that makes sense. Whereas the first one just felt like an introduction to this badass woman. I feel like you're much better at going into movies having like accepted them for what they are, whereas I struggle to like manage my expectations, you know? I just always have like this annoying critical voice in the back of my head, and that's probably why I'll never finish writing my movie, because I keep being like, nobody will like this, you're really bad, and this is stupid. I also don't love superhero movies. We know this, right? Okay, I haven't seen any of the Marvel bullshit. I've seen like Iron Man once, and that's it. I've seen the first Wonder Woman movie, and I really enjoyed it, and I think that's just because it didn't feel superhero-y. There were the moments where like her theme song is playing and she's like kicking ass, but it feels different because like it's a woman, and I know that's like potentially problematic to say, but there's like an elegance to the way that she fights that is like very pleasing for me to watch. There's a lot more, and granted I haven't seen a lot of other superhero movies, but there's like a lot of slow motion, and it's very like focused on her movements, and it's not like sexualizing her in any way. It's like very focusing on her strength. But also I was very drawn to the story of Wonder Woman and just this character who is looking out for the greater good no matter what, and is like untainted by the human world. But when she comes in contact with the negative aspects of mankind, she still wants to fight for us. And I know that's like a common trait of superheroes, is like do good no matter what, but I don't think there's many other superheroes that like are just so pure and good and then come into contact with mankind and still believe in us like that. So I was just really drawn to that, and I didn't feel like we got the same Diana in this movie. She's lived among mankind for longer, and she's kind of changed. And she did say in the first movie, because I went back and rewatched that, she does say like, I'll never be the same now. My main point was just that I'm not super into superhero movies, and this one felt a lot more like superhero-y, and I think I'll just leave it at that for now.
It had less common superhero themes, I thought, but the action sequences and things felt more superhero-y than the first one. Like, I agree. I think the first one was more elegant. I think you like put that very well. And this one felt just more like flashy and like, oh, look at her flying across this mall multiple times. No Man's Land scene in the first one. That's one of my favorite scenes of all time. And I think the way that scene is done is beautiful. Or I thought the mall sequence was kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I didn't love that fight sequence at all.
Neither did I, and I don't understand really how that was aiding the story. And that was definitely the scene that made me feel like this is like a comic book almost, which I get that that's what this is based on. Like when she's like winking at the kids and like punching the bad guy, like it felt very hokey and a big departure from like the first film.
And again, I'm not like the biggest superhero movie fan either. I've seen like a few of the Marvel movies, but I'm not like invested in them. I'll sit down and watch them if someone want to, but like if someone doesn't make me, I'm not going to. I liked Wonder Woman because it was very different and I was like drawn to her character, and I am very excited for 3, but I don't necessarily think that like this is going to be a movie that I'm going to go back and like constantly want to rewatch like I do with the first movie.
Yeah. Obviously, watching the previews for this and not having read the comic books, I have no background information about Wonder Woman, but I'm watching the previews and Steve is alive and well. So I'm like, my one and only question going into this is how are they going to make that happen? Because I think we all know that Katie doesn't really like, you know, somebody randomly coming back from the dead. That's really what turned me off with Pretty Little Liars. Like, I couldn't watch it anymore because I was like, all these bitches are coming back from the dead and I can't handle it.
That was one of my questions. Do you like that Steve came back in this movie?
I love Steve. I love his character. There are certain things that he does that I really don't appreciate, but he's a delightful man and he's so sweet. And I loved seeing him again in this, but the Wishing Rock. I get that it's like the center of this film, and I do love what it turns into, you know, everything that happens, but at the beginning when that was like what it was, I was like, no fucking way. You're making Wonder Woman wish upon a rock and this man just like magically appears. And then I was so confused. I was like, so he's him, but he's not. He's in another dude's body. Like, why do other people like get their full wish, but then Steve like has to be another person? You know what I mean? Like, what was the point of that? If I think about it
logistically though, like everyone would want potentially to raise someone from the dead, and like you can't do that. So I like kind of get it.
I kind of get it too, but it just felt like a lot. I was like, they're in some random guy's apartment, and also like she knew him for a week back in like 1918, and she's willing to like literally let the world explode for this man. That's what I mean when I say this isn't the same Diana.
Maybe it's just me constantly buying into a romance. I think because she had never really known love on this island, and like that's the point of like her character, is that like she just has compassion and love for people, and she finally found someone who like she loved on like a deeper level and something, and that's like her first love.
Yeah.
And they went through a lot together. So I buy that she wants him back, and like that was a loss for her.
For sure.
And I kind of like that this tone of her being like in a funk and like a little disenfranchised, and she says at one point in the movie, she's like, why am I constantly having to do stuff for other people and save other people, but I can't have this one thing? Like, I literally just want one thing and I can't have it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you're right, Diana. Like, why can't you have this one thing? So I kind of get it why she wants him back, and someone who like was her first introduction into the world and like made her safe and valued.
Mm-hmm. I buy it too, and I think their chemistry is great. Like, It's very believable to me that they both really love each other. I don't know what it is. I just was like, and I mean, he's with it too. He's like, you could literally have anybody. Like, what about this guy? He seems nice. Like the person that he becomes. I don't know. I get it. I'm a sucker for like true love. It's cute.
I love that they got to have a more proper goodbye.
Yeah.
In this one, and that one could like hear it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't really hear the last one, and that I think they got the closure that they needed. Mm-hmm. At least like she got the closure that she needed to move forward. And as we obviously saw towards the end of the film, she starts like engaging with strangers where she didn't really do before, or like she started noticing her surroundings more. And I like that she was able to find that in this movie. And I'm sad that like Chris Pine probably won't be in the third one. Like, I think his character is done for now. He is my favorite Chris, so I'll be disappointed to see him go. Yeah. But I like that he was still able to be in this one.
I'm glad that he was back. I also thought it was really cute that like in the first one he was like showing her the world, and then in this one like she was showing him. Like, it's kind of cute. That was one of my favorite moments, the montage of him just like trying on the clothes and then them like going to the space place, and he's like, what the Like, that was just adorable.
Yeah, I loved that there were a lot of parallels to the first with that, but just like reverse, like the reverse fish out of water effect then from like Diana in the first one to now being Steve in this one.
Yeah.
And again, it never made Steve look dumb
Right.
either. It was more like child wonderment
Yeah.
almost, and I appreciated that. I don't like it when it's a fish out of water scenario, but they make the person look stupid.
Agreed.
I liked that. I loved the clothing try-on haul, and then I liked the full circle moment at the end that the outfit that Steve tried on, he was like, "What do you think? I like this." Then that character at the very end had it on.
Yeah.
I just thought that was cute. Like a lot of small little moments that if you're not necessarily like paying attention or like thinking about and trying to draw those, you would miss them.
Yeah.
Also, the moment when her and Steve are flying in the plane and she's like, "I think I can make us invisible." And when he's talking about like the radars and stuff, and he's just like, "Well, shit, Diana."
Yeah.
Like that was a great use of the swear word allowance for a PG-13 rating. You know that trend on TikTok right now that it's like, if you could put an F-bomb in any Disney movie, where would you put it? That's kind of like with this, because you can't get away with many swear words in PG-13 ratings. So
yeah,
I appreciated their usage. I thought it was funny.
That was a funny moment. Although, again, like with the plane, there were certain moments in this film that I felt like I was being asked to continue to like suspend my disbelief even further, if that makes sense. I understand that I'm like not a comic book reader, and I don't think like every film needs to be made for everybody. I am assuming that people who love DC Comics and everything are going to appreciate this more, or people who are into superhero movies are going to appreciate this more. There were certain moments like that that just took me out of it, and I felt kind of isolated, and like I didn't fully know this character because I missed something, or like I haven't read a piece of like background material. Does that make sense? I was like, I didn't think she could just make things invisible. I guess, like, the fact that we find out at the end of the first movie that she is, like, a god, that just kind of is, like, an all-encompassing thing. It just felt like, okay, the first movie asks you to believe that there's, like, this group of exceptional people who exist in the world. And I'm like, okay, I can buy into that, and, like, that's what I believe is part of this world. And then the second movie is like, and there's this magic wishing rock that also exists that can bring people back from the dead. And it just was like, okay, I'm adding to the list of things that I have to like bring into this world. I don't know if anything that I'm saying makes sense, but
I buy into it because I see it as an exploration of her powers. And in the first movie, we see her like, she already knows that she's powerful, but she is like learning certain things as she goes that she can do.
Yeah.
So then I see this as her like furthering, continuing what her powers all encompass, with that being like making things invisible. And then when she's learning to fly, like I see that just as like her only becoming more powerful. And as she grows, she learns new skills. But I think that also comes from how you said you're not a comic book reader. I come from a perspective of reading a lot of fantasy books where like people all of a sudden find out they have powers, or like there's a magic sense that they can like learn. And the gradual build of power makes sense from those worlds in this world. So for me, I don't necessarily get taken out of it as much, but I think that's because it's not like a new concept for me to see.
That's a lot more helpful and like makes way more sense, like a gradual build. It's kind of like a rise and fall, because then Steve being back is like drawing away from her powers. There's like this other person who also is like her because their wish got granted. So yeah, I like the way that you explain that then after she renounces her wish, then it's like another gradual build and she learns to fly.
Yeah, so I can only imagine then like what in the third movie it would be. I think it would really throw me off if in the first movie she was like, I'm super powerful, I can fly, I can make things invisible, I'm a god killer. Like that I think would have been too much at once. But yeah. I like the build-up. Well, should we quick just touch on, you talked about this magic rock, and that's like basically the thing of this film. Yeah. And which is one of the things that I think kind of is a superhero-ish trope of like this rock, like this magical thing that grants great things for the world, but then it ends up bringing ruin. Like, I think you can draw similarities from other stories like this. But for this movie, it is like a pretty deep message of
Yeah.
like a meaning for wishing for things and then it not being how you envisioned when you finally get what you want. And I also watched Soul on Christmas as well, which is the new Disney Pixar movie. Fantastic. I really loved it. I don't think my parents vibed, but I vibed with it. It's kind of like that with this, of like he finally gets what he's been working for and like what he fought death for so much, and then he's like, is this it? And that's just kind of like a deep message,
Yeah.
honestly, of people constantly like want and work towards things, and then when you get it, you look back and you can be like, was this even worth it? Like,
Yeah.
this isn't what I thought it would be. And in a way, I liked that more than the first one, because in the first one, Diana pretty much just wants to find Ares, and
Yeah.
that's the basis, where this one is more like of a meaningful parallel to real life. But I think it makes for a more blah action movie. Where like the first one is obviously a lot of like fighting sequences, war. She's obviously trying to find the god of war and death, but it's just like Pedro Pascal has now become this wishing machine, basically. And people are like disenfranchised with their lives.
The thing that this film does for Diana's character is show that she now has a better understanding of the human race, but still is sticking around and is willing to, you know, fight for us every day by like being a superhero and going to help people when they're in trouble. I like how in the first film, I agree with you that she's like on the hunt for this bad guy, but underneath that, you know, she's learning about humankind and, you know, maybe the war is their fault and not this evil gods, and like she's not necessarily sure, and it's this whole battle between do they deserve you or not, Diana. I like the progression of that in this film, and just how what she says about like you're not the only person who wants something and who wishes for a different world. The message of just like there is not a single person on this earth who is like completely content. However, if everybody got what they wanted, everything would conflict with each other and we wouldn't have, that's not within human capability to like have a perfect world. I really liked that message, and when she's like showing everybody the truth with her truth rope, I really liked that, because she brought him back from the brink too, of like this point of no return of like, why would I give up everything that I want and all this power, and like all it takes is the truth to show him like, oh, I do renounce it. And she does that within a matter of like 2 minutes.
Yeah, what you said about Diana, like the change in her character and like how she sees the human race, I think that was one of the things that was so different between the two movies for me, which is why I think like I needed the time to kind of like digest it, because in the first one, Diana is like optimistic and like really powerful and a little naive, but like really determined and focused on her goal.
Yeah.
In this one, she's been exposed to the horrors of the world and people. She's lost the one that she loves. And she's right when she says that she's like, people kind of bring this upon themselves, but yet like I'm always around to help out, and like is a little disenfranchised and less enchanted with the world and a little jaded, which I liked because it makes her feel more of a three-dimensional character and more of a three-dimensional person, and just like more encompassing of like a broad range of emotion. We're not saying that Diana in the first one doesn't have that. She does towards the end more so.
Yeah.
But I think it just really like built on that from the first film a lot. And while it was disappointing in certain sequences to see her power weak, it was also kind of cool, because I feel like whenever you watch superhero movies, they're like, oh, so badass, they're untouchable, like nothing can happen to them when they're fighting. Especially like Diana in the first one, pretty much like she never really runs into any issues when she's in a battle.
Right.
And in this one, it was just kind of humanizing to see a character that like seemingly has it all not have it all. Even like superheroes, you know, feel pain and like struggle and lose.
You and I both have talked about how we appreciate like humanizing of the bad guy or whatever. I liked that because Max could have easily been the like stereotypical like all bad, unredeemable. But and even like the introduction of his son, I was like, this just makes me hate him more. Like I was like, is this supposed to make me like him, that he has this kid around, because he's treating the kid like shit, like what are you doing here? But then at the end I just like broke down when he was running towards him and like screaming out his son's name and everything. I was so caught off guard by how well Patty Jenkins kind of snuck in there, like the humanization of this man, and like how she made me understand so quickly and like seamlessly why he did what he did. Yeah, I just like that, because I think so often in superhero movies there's the villain and there's the good guy and like no gray area. Diana goes into the gray area a little bit in this movie when she's like, no, screw all these people, I just want what I want. And same with Max in this one, like he's destroying the world, but he's doing it because he's like, you know, had this kind of hard childhood and just wanted to be great. And his son just wants him to be great too. And he wants to be like a better person for his son.
That's why I love Star Wars. There's a lot more gray. And the good and bad. I know, I'm sorry, I won't bring it up again, but I'm just saying, like, that's why Marvel movies just like don't necessarily do it for me, because it's very, this is a good person, this is a bad person, and I don't always like that. Or not, I don't always like that. I don't like that. It bothers me.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the ending really quick, just because you kind of brought that up, that you liked the ending, and I agree. I do like the ending. But did it feel a little anticlimactic to you? Like, the first movie's ending was a wow moment. Yeah. But Diana literally sat on the floor and pleaded to people in this one. I'm not saying that I didn't like it, but it just felt a little anticlimactic to me.
Yeah, like there's no big fight sequence. Besides her and Kristen Wiig's character, I think like that was supposed to be the fighting.
It wasn't,
because
that
it's
great.
not. No, we can get into Kristen Wiig in a second, but
I do want to. But I feel like she's gonna be a big discussion, which is why I've been like holding off on that one so far.
Yeah, it's hard because it's not like she could have had a fight sequence with Max, like unless he like took her powers somehow, or like got really powerful, which I kind of thought was gonna happen. But the fight between them would have been a non-fight. She would have just kicked him in the nads and that would have been the end of that. But it was a little anticlimactic, but I still enjoyed it. Somewhat disappointed by the fight sequences in this one compared to the first one, because really the first fight sequence in this is kind of hokey, like we said. The second one, her powers are going away, so she's not like as full throttle. And then the third one
had Kristen Wiig in it in the White House.
Yeah, and they are all just like randomly in the White House. Her powers are still going away. And then the last one is her and Kristen. It just didn't live up to the first one, really.
Yeah, I agree. This one did not have the same level of action sequences in it. And I think part of that has to do with Diana losing her powers. Yeah. But I don't know. Also, I think it had to do with Kristen Wiig. But I did like that Steve was around for some of the action sequences. I just liked, especially on the one on the road, seeing the two of them fight together, and that Steve, like, while he's a human, he's not helpless. Yeah. And that he can do things to help Diana out, even though, she doesn't necessarily need it, but, like, the help is appreciated.
Yeah, I was screaming at the TV during, like, right before that moving car fight scene when they're in Cairo. He's driving the car. They buy this car from this cab driver, and they're like driving after the bad guys. And I'm like, Diana, get out of the, like, leave this man. What are you doing? Like, I was like, what is going on? Because at that point we'd only gotten the first, like, it wasn't even a fight because those burglars like had no match for Diana. Yeah. So I'm just like, come on, girl. And then it like goes back and she's in the gear and she has her little headpiece on. I'm like, okay, finally, like, let's go. Kick some ass, bitch.
And then it was so dark in that last one. It was like, I kind of reminded me of The Long Night in Game of Thrones. Like, it was kind of hard to see what was going on.
Yeah, and also it's just like, what is this?
I think it was a bad usage of that beautiful gold costume to have it be revealed at night. Yeah. That is for an in-the-day mascara kind of setting when the sun is, like, radiating off of it. And we didn't get that. I was kind of like, that's kind of a waste of this really shiny gold costume.
Yeah, and I didn't want to see Kristen Wiig tearing it apart. I wanted to see like the juxtaposition of like the Romans tearing it apart to then now like the chaos of people tearing it apart. I felt like that would have been so much more powerful, especially after she said like, I do so much for these people. Why can't I have this one thing, and this like kind of internal battle that I feel like she's now internalized after the first film of like, do these people really deserve me? Did I make the right decision by leaving my home to never return and to just live among these fucking horrible people? You know, like that would have been very powerful. And I don't know why we were just left with Kristen clawing at it.
Katie and I have thoughts. Katie and I haven't talked about how we feel about Kristen Wiig, but I have a feeling we're probably going to be on the same page about this. I think the overarching question that I have, and that maybe I'm hoping that some other people are wondering, is, was she the right choice for this character? And I'm going to say no.
I would say no too. However, I feel bad because I don't want to be the person that is like, you are a comedian, stick to comedy. Mikhail and I were talking and we were just like, remember when she had that random ass role in Mother and she was just like shooting people in the head? Like, what the fuck? Who is Kristen Wiig's manager? Like, what crack cocaine are they smoking? But again, like, Kristen could just be wanting to show her range, and she didn't flop in this. You know, she didn't flop horrible.
But I don't think action, like, I don't think she needs to do comedy, but I don't think action is like where it should be for her.
Right. I don't know what her intentions were here. I'll give her like a 6 out of 10.
If I can rate her separately, if we're doing like front of the movie, 10 out of 10. I think she played that character so well. I thought she was very endearing, very likable. I thought she played the front half of her character very well. It was when, in this, I'm like, I don't know if it's to blame on her or if it's to blame on like just the material that she was given, but I didn't like her character at the end. I don't think her anger came across in the right way. I don't like how her character ended, which again, it's like that doesn't really have to do with her, but it, like, her interpretation of it, I still just didn't jive with at the end of like showing the anger of being like, people like Diana get everything.
Yeah.
But it's like Diana was never a bitch to her. So I'm kind of like, I don't really get the anger towards Diana. I kind of do and I kind of don't. Diana blew her off at first and was like, not really, but then she came back right away and was like, actually, hey, do you want to get dinner?
Yeah.
And like they had a nice dinner and they connected, and then she came to the park and she like saved her, and Diana was never like upfrontly rude to her. So I'm kind of like, I don't really get where then all of a sudden she's like, fuck you, Diana.
Yeah.
Like, I get it that she has like pent up anger at the world that she's now taking out against Diana. It just, I didn't like that her character went that direction. And I don't think Kristen Wiig showed the true like depth that I was supposed to feel with her character. Like, she was someone that I didn't find myself like empathizing with at all, which I don't know if that's to her or to like the writing.
I was very thrown and confused a couple times. I think part of this movie's issue too is that it's too long. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. Granted, I understand that it's like establishing a different time and there's a lot that needs to be done in the exposition, so I get that. Don't come for me. I just felt like I had so much time to be thinking about Kristen Wiig and her character, and like, to be completely transparent, at first I was like, lesbian. And then when that clearly wasn't the case because she's having sex with Max, I was like, okay, fine, girl. And then I thought she was going to be this like revenge killer of like going after all these rapey men, which then I was like, yeah, you go.
I'm here for this story.
I was ready for it. And she's mad at the woman who saved her from that girl. I don't know. Also, she did wish to be like sexy like Diana, and whoever thought putting her in like grunge hair and makeup equals sexy needs to be fired immediately.
Yeah.
And I get that like they were trying to make her look dark, but there was way better ways to do that. Like,
Agreed.
They had her in a dark denim jacket with spikes on it at the end, and that is just a crime. Like, that is not sexy, dark character. Kristen
Like-
Wiig is like beautiful. Her in that
Yes.
black dress, she looked amazing. So I don't know why they decided to go that route.
I don't know either. And like part of Diana's appeal is that she's so like effortlessly beautiful. So then why were they like amping up Kristen Wiig so much? Like they should have just kind of left her alone and like it would have been better. Also, how Katie pointed out with the like rapey man in the park that Kristen Wiig went after, which I was like, crush him, yes.
Yeah.
Like, this is once again at the beginning I was just like the audacity that men have. So then I was like glad that she got her little moment. You're right. Then why did she turn around and get mad at Diana? So then I'm like, that sounds like a man writing this. So I just looked it up. I'm like, did a man write this? And Patty Jenkins wrote it with Jeff Johns and Dave Callahan. But like, does that not? So I don't know. I mean, she had her hand in it. Who knows how much she wrote, how much she like supervised or whatever. But does that not kind of sound like a male interpretation of that situation?
I guess the change in Barbara is
Also the name.
when they are like talking about having to renounce their wish, she doesn't
Mhm.
like that, so that's kind of what turns her. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely seems like a man's interpretation. I don't know why she wouldn't. I thought she was gonna be like appealing to Diana and being like,
Mm-hmm.
why would you want to give up your man? Like, let's band together. We can make this world good together with both of our powers, you know? Like, that's,
Mhm.
I think, more of a logical approach for Barbara's character. But I guess also she, like, lost her warmth. So maybe that's, I don't know. But I think overall, this film felt a lot less effortlessly feminist. And I don't really know. I think there's multiple things contributing to that.
In the first one, I remember watching it and being like, I am woman, hear me
Yes.
roar. Like, Katie and I talked about this, that we were like, is this what men feel like all the time when
Yeah.
they go to watch superhero movies? Because if so, like, how unfair? Because they have like 50 and we had one.
Yeah.
This one, I didn't necessarily feel that way as much. And I think part of it has to do with like just Diana's story and where it's going. I felt more of like just a human connection
Yeah.
to the movie than like a feminist empowerment message from it.
Yeah.
But I do agree that I think the first one was just naturally like really female empowerment, and this one was not as much that way.
And it doesn't need to be. I mean, let's not get to
No.
a place as society where we're like, every woman in a non-conventional women role needs to be a feminist. Like, no, let's get past that. But I think when you have a woman superhero, it's inherently feminist, and it just, like Mikhail said, I wasn't like, hell yeah, women at the end of this. I was just like, okay, you're in love with your
Mhm.
man. The first thing he says to her when he's back is like, you're so beautiful, you haven't aged a day. Like, what about commenting on something else?
I didn't notice that was his first
I'm like,
thing
really?
he said
That's
to
the
her.
first thing you're gonna talk to her about? What about,
But also,
like, what
that's
have you
kind
been
of funny
doing
of
this
me.
whole
Like, you
time?
haven't aged a day and it's been 100 years. So it's been like a long time.
Just like this incredible, I feel like he's constantly forgetting that the woman he is with is like this insane human, which maybe she likes, but she's not a human. But this insane specimen, like when he's like driving the car and he's like, what are you doing? No, it's like she's going to fucking kick some ass, bro, because she's way stronger than you. She doesn't need you. Park the car, wait in the parking lot. She'll be out in a sec. Like, let her go. And then him just being like, I can't believe you haven't aged. It's like, yeah, no shit. You're fucking a goddess.
What do you expect? I don't think that you meant this, or I don't even remember now exactly what you just said, but something about like her with like him coming back and like her being in love. I just want to be at a place where it's like a female character can be in love and have that not be like a setback
Right.
for women or like her character or anything. And I do think that this movie does a good job of like, Steve doesn't set her back really,
But
at
he kind
all.
of
Like, I don't-
does. Like, him being back takes away her power.
Yeah, but she realizes that and she like has the power to like renounce
Right.
that. And like she gets the closure that she needs from it. Like she gets her time and she can go. But I don't know, like her being in love, I don't think like retracts from her story or like her personal growth.
Agreed.
Which I want that in everything moving forward. Like I hate the notion of being like a campy feminist
Right.
if there's like a love interest involved.
Right.
That I would hope, how Katie said, like we don't have to have like everything be like that every female character has to be like this, that I hope
Right.
that also at the same time that like when there is a love interest that doesn't make the female character like weak or detract from her progression.
I think if anything, Steve gives her hope in mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is kind of what his character, I mean, at the end of the day, Steve's character serves Diana, where typically women characters serve the man. So I think that is like his purpose and kind of why she feels like she needs him, because her function is to like, now that she's given up her old life, her function is to like save mankind, but she's like at the beginning of this film kind of like sick of it and losing faith in that, and Steve comes right at the right time to like restore that for her. But it's not like a savior thing. It's just kind of
like a personal source of strength.
Right. I definitely agree with you that like being in love is definitely not a strength subtractor.
Strength subtractor. It's like a little Sims like mood thing. It just like slightly moves over. Okay, I feel like this is kind of obvious, but since it was talked about in the movie where people can make a wish, Katie, what would have been your wish?
I was very surprised that no one was wishing for world peace, especially when the missiles were flying. I was like, there's no one. There's not a single person that's like, for all this to stop. You know, I would wish for, selfishly, I would wish for a job. Like in this immediate moment, that's like the thing I want the most. Or to like have my movie be made.
Yeah.
Selfishly, that is what I want, but I would hope that I would wish for like world peace or for the virus to go away. Yeah. What about you?
I would like to say that I would be unselfish and wish for those things as well. But honestly, I went back and forth on this for a while, and genuinely, as stupid as it's gonna sound, I think I would just wish that I would just be like happy.
Yeah.
At like any point that I'm at in my life. I thought like I could wish for success or be like that my books could get published or that this podcast could like blow up and we could become full-time on it. But I could still be unhappy when those things happen.
Right.
I think back on my, this is gonna sound deep. I think back on my life and I just realized there are like very few moments where I look back and I'm like, I was genuinely happy in that moment. And that's kind of sad. And Katie and I always talk about, we're like, what do people do when they wake up and they're like not anxious?
Yeah.
Or they're like not depressed. I would love to just know what that's like. So I would just wish to be happy, because I think then whether I'm like still in a job that's not creatively fulfilling, if I found happiness in that, cool. Yeah. If I like found happiness in success, great. Totally. I would just like to be happy.
That's smart. That was something I was thinking about too with Diana and like what sets her apart, because I saw this thing that was like, the reason why all of us are so anxious and sad all the time is because we set goals and we think that like certain things or like hitting certain milestones or like achieving certain things or like attaining certain things, that's what's going to make us happy. But like if we have value-based goals, like I want to be considerate, I want to be happy, I want to be honest and like just a good person, like you'll be more fulfilled no matter what you're doing, as long as you're like being like a certain type of person is more achievable than like publishing a book or like having a movie, you know what I mean? So I think that's what sets Diana apart too, is like she knows her goal is to just, I want to be someone that fights for those who can't fight for themselves. That is her struggle too, because like she questions that, but at the end of the day, like that's kind of what sets her apart from mankind, and like the truth that she shows them at the end is like, you all want something, but if we all just care about each other the way I care about y'all, things would be good. Okay, just because there was a shift in costume in this one, I just want to know, Katie, if you could like design your superhero costume, you know, what would you want it to look like? Or would there be like certain features that you would want on it? It's like your own Incredibles moment with Edna Mode. With Edna Mode. I like high waist. That's the one thing that I will for sure need to have. Because if we're working with a skin tight situation, like a lot of superhero things do, it's definitely got to be high waist. So I'm envisioning this and I'm already looking a little funky, but I like maybe like a high waist and a fun sports bra something or other, and then like a robe over that.
Oh, a robe
that flows. That's where I'm at right now. What about you?
I agree, especially because things tend to be tight. I'd want something like really stretchy and like really flexible material, but also like keeping me sucked in and like shapely, you know?
Yeah.
I think it would have to be, I'd want a one piece, but because like if I'm fighting, I wouldn't want to worry about my pants falling down because I wouldn't want to wear a belt.
Right.
But it would need to be easy to take on and off for the bathroom because that's a pain. So we'd have to figure something out there. Definitely long sleeves. I love long sleeves. We don't like short sleeves over here. And combat boots. I don't know. I'd want like some really cool like buckled combat boots. And I think it would be black and teal.
Yeah.
And I would like a cape that I could like take off or like put on with a hood.
Cool.
So like again, kind of like how you were saying with a robe that you want to like billow out. I want like a cape that kind of like goes over my shoulders with like a hood.
Right.
And like a little clasp that I can take off when I need, but then like put on when I want.
Cool.
Anyways, it would not be, because I just got thinking about that looking at the gold armor. I'm like, that looked so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was just like, if you could design it, I would never design something like that gold armor.
Same. All right. Well, did we do it?
We did it.
So yeah, that was our coverage of Wonder Woman, and this is our last episode of 2020. Next week, we're going to be doing a New Year episode. I know if you're concerned that your question did not get answered in our 1 year anniversary episode, we screenshotted them, we saved them, we're going to answer them in the next episode, our New Year episode, and we're going to be talking about our favorite movies and TV shows of 2020 and asking you guys what your favorite movies of 2020 and TV shows of 2020 were. So be thinking on that and be ready to participate on our Instagrams. Speaking of that, follow us on Instagram. They are listed in the description of this episode. If you're streaming on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us so that you are seeing our new episodes on your homepage each week. And subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating and review if you are listening there. And subscribe to our individual YouTube channels as well. And Michaela's TikTok and my TikTok, even though I'm not super active on TikTok, I have two. So go give them a watch.
We also have a Popcorn Chats TikTok.
And a Popcorn Chats TikTok.
As active on that one as well. We're going to work on that.
You could post the Adam Driver and Taylor Swift ones on there.
All right, everyone. Have a safe week. And we will see you in the new year.
Lilas.
Lilas.